Well, basically, when I wanted to create the company, I thought to myself, what am I looking to do with myself professionally? And what do I feel is missing from the fitness world? Because I'm a very fond believer that, I don't like redundancy or repetition or things that are just constantly echoed amongst a million other people. I like to approach things from perspective of, is there a gap, and can I fill that gap with some sort of service that will then allow people to change their lives for the better in a way that they couldn't with what was available before. And so the idea was to create a company that focused itself on bringing fitness to people, making it extremely accessible, because one of the major challenges for a number of people. And it's something that, I remember seeing with us, like while we were working together, you'd have days where you're like, I'm just so busy, it's hard for me to, get to the gym this day. And the challenge of getting into the gym in and of itself can be really, can be really big. It can be, in some cases, for some people, in feeling insurmountable. And so finding ways to make it so that I could get fitness into their lives and bring it to them was a major focus of it. So when it comes to the services we provide, it's very much focused on that concept. A lot of it centers around that. So I do in-home training through the company. So I come to your house, bring equipment necessary to get the job done, resistance bands, weighted vests, the like. And that's if you don't have, say, a gym in your condo or something, some kind of workout space, and maybe in your apartment building, that means I can bring everything we need, and you don't have to worry about that. Otherwise, of course, I'm happy to come and do what we got to do in that condo gym as well, because sometimes the challenge is less having the place and more knowing how to use it properly and get the most out of it. So in-home training is a huge one. Another one is I also do sort of on-site type training where, say, there's an individual who doesn't have space in their home, but there's a gym nearby that's not one of the big box ones, because they don't really like us freelancers coming in and training people, but a smaller gym, and they haven't used it, but they'd like to start working out, and that would be the best place. I can meet them there and we can work out there, which for a lot of people who feel it's a little bit more intrusive to have somebody in their home on a regular basis, it could even just be as simple as they're so busy that cleaning out sometimes is just a ridiculous task. So bringing us somewhere that's outside of that space, a lot easier. So I do on-site training, stuff like that. Through the nutrition side, I can do everything from like your sort of very sort of scheduled and regular meetings that comes with like a nutrition coaching, where it's very involved. There's a lot of interaction, a lot of collaboration between me and the client to kind of figure out what's working, what's not. We're in regular communication to kind of constantly monitor what's happening. We can make adjustments on the fly because we're constantly very honestly speaking about what's happening, how they're feeling, and how things are working out. And then, of course, also down to something as easy as, oh, you just need a nutrition program for this month. Here you go. I ask them questions to get some information, shoot it off to them, and then they can kind of, self-direct the whole process from there, because the package has, some information about nutrition, some pieces that might not be available to them right now, some information that'll help clarify, the mystery around nutrition and healthy eating and how to let your food work for your body and not against it. And then, of course, the plan itself, which they could just follow and go about their business. And, for a month, they have exactly what they need. And that's exactly what some people do need. It's less about someone on their back every day to make sure things are, moving as they should, and more about just providing someone with the guidance. And then, of course, the pregnancy side of things, I do a group pregnancy training thing where I can have a bunch of pregnant women who are all looking to, improve the overall pregnancy experience, and perhaps even make labor and childbirth a little bit easier, a little less risky, and then a lot more I don't want to say enjoyable, but of course, relatively speaking, I guess that's sort of the concept. Or just individual training, because when it comes to the difference between women who are pregnant and the average individual, there are some real considerations that need to be, followed through with, because they're not the same. They're just not the same. They're hormonally and physically in a very different place, and so you have to treat them, very very specifically. You have to treat them in such a way that you take in consideration all of the things that a pregnancy does to a body. And that was, of course, something that was really important to me, because I realized all too realistically that it was a gap in my knowledge base. And as you probably know by now, like, if there's a gap in my knowledge base, one of the things that I pride myself on doing is trying to find a way to plug it with whatever knowledge I can get my hands on. So yeah, those are the things that we do for the most part, but it really all boils down to making fitness as accessible to people as possible, because it's one of those things I believe we should all try to make a part of our lives as much as possible, because we're better people when our bodies and our minds are at their best, are at their peak. And so getting to that point is just a matter of getting fitness, the information and the capabilities in the hands of the hands of as many people as humanly possible.